OMORI is a game with a lot of characters, many of which I've previously analyzed in a much, much larger OMORI video. But I do think it's worth going back and taking a look at some of the side characters that I didn't really touch up on, as well as revisiting the main cast that I have some new opinions about, to say the least. And I've always really wanted to make a Tiermaker list, so here we are. This is also my first unscripted video on this channel, so expect more of a podcast-like vibe to everything. So yeah, let's dive right into it. First we have, let me get closer to my desk here. First we have Abby, I believe her name is. And I don't, how I labeled this is I have a no opinion category because there's some characters that, route exclusive or I just didn't really encounter in Headspace or in the real world, or even if I did, I just don't really remember them. And she's kind of one of them. Obviously, I didn't play the Hikikomori route, and I know she is route exclusive to that. But I have watched some videos with her. So I don't want to necessarily put her in no opinion. I think I'm going to put her in a nice C tier for now. I could, change things later on. But I think she'll be good there. Because I do think she's cool. Like, her design is awesome. Like, look at that. I just love her design. I love kind of like what she, represents, or at least what I think she represents within the narrative. And it's really just like this lore building when it comes to Headspace, which to me, isn't really the most important part of the game. Although real world stuff means a lot more to me, but I do appreciate the attempt to really build that lore and kind of everything surrounding Headspace. I'm going to give her a good C tier for now. I don't know his. I know he's one of the hooligans. I don't know his name. He's kind of funny, I guess. I don't really. He's definitely not going there. I'm gonna put him in D tier for right now, cause I'm gonna get more to my opinions with the hooligans. Where's Kim? She's somewhere in here. Okay, so I have found Kim. It actually took me about a minute and a half to find her. I'm going to cut that part out, obviously. But here's Kim. So I want to touch on this first. I'll put it up there for now. I get what they were trying to do with the hooligans. To me, at least, what I think they're trying to get across is they are a somewhat good support system for Aubrey during this hard time. And that they're not, I mean, they're called the hooligans, they're not, I guess, supposed to be portrayed or really seen as like violent people or like really mean people, like mean spirited. It's more like they're just kind of goofy, and you really get that vibe with Kim and Vance or Van. I think her brother's name is Van. I'm gonna call him Van. You really do get that vibe from them, but I don't like them at all. And Kim's kind of the centerpiece of the actual hooligan, aside from Aubrey, obviously, but she's like a whole separate thing. She's kind of, I mean, to be honest, they are bullies. They do bully Basil quite a lot. A lot of it's off screen, but it is implied that they've been bullying him. Look at poor Basil now; he's smiling, and you're gonna bully him. They've been bullying him for like years. I think that is implied, and I can't really get behind that. They do kind of try to redeem them in the old hideout spot by the lake. I think it's when Hero shows up on Aubrey pushes Basil into the lake. They kind of try to redeem them, I think, a little bit by saying like, "Oh, we're not hurting you," and kind of showing that like Basil's freaking out for apparently no reason. Like he's just obviously he is an anxious wreck, but I don't think he freaks out for absolutely no reason, And it's kind of trying to, I think Omocan and the team are trying to show like, oh yeah, they're not really bullies. They're goofy, they're not really hurting him. But when you first see them, Kim literally runs him over with her bike, if I'm remembering correctly. So I don't think they really handled that group well. And I gotta put her in D. I can't really get over that. And I'm probably gonna put them all in D, except for like Charlie. I think it's Charlie right down there, because I like Charlie. But I'm probably going to put them all in D. Spoilers alert. So my office is in a sunroom. We do not get heat in the sunroom. So I do have a space heater that I recently got because it's, you know, getting a lot colder out. It's like 30 degrees right now, something like that, you know, as it gets to winter. And I got to turn my space heater on. I was like, it makes a lot of sound that I don't really want in the video, but at the same time, like, I also don't want to freeze to death. When I'm like really cold, I get like jitters. So I'm gonna turn it on. I think that's a better alternative. But hope you don't mind the sound. We're also gonna die in this fucking igloo of mine, and we don't want that. We just don't want that. So let's move on to Aubry. Oh, they're both together. Cool. So we have Headspace Aubry. I'm not putting her in S tier. S tier, I'm trying to reserve that because honestly, if I really wanted to, I could probably put the whole cast in S tier, even Headspace cast included, except for a few of them. But I do want to kind of try to reserve that for some of the more important characters to me. So I'm gonna put her in A tier for now. I think she's just fun, you know. She has her bat. Not the nail one, just a regular bat. And she kind of keeps that upbeat attitude within the group. And things don't really get that disturbing or depressing in Headspace very often for, you know, obvious reasons that we'll get into. But when it comes to Aubry, even when it does get a little depressing, she'll try to, like, keep the attitude up. But even when it gets, like, horrifying, I do kind of find that, like, she's the first one to get, like, scared. Aside from Hero with the fucking spiders. But, like, if I'm remembering correctly, after Humphrey, when you go to Basil's house to enter Black Space, she's the one who says, like, oh, she's scared. She, like, doesn't want to go in there. Like, she's trying to prevent you from going in, you know. She's trying to prevent OMORI, which, in my view, is just a player avatar for Sunny, like he's a player avatar for us within Headspace. And Aubry's really trying to prevent him to go in there. And now that now I'm thinking about that, it's actually a little interesting. So you have Aubry, and obviously within Headspace, especially with like Black Space 2, with the love letter, you see this especially, but it's pretty obvious throughout the entire game. Headspace Aubry, so Sunny's like, idolized version of her, really loves, is deep in love with OMORI. And I think, you know, OMORI, this kind of ruler of Headspace, uses Aubry to really try to keep Sunny within the dream, you know? Like, you know, she's like, oh, don't go in there, like, I'm scared. And it kind of makes Headspace seem a little brighter when she does keep the attitude up, and obviously Sunny has feelings for Aubry in real life, you know, probably has had them since he met her. And she's kind of like one of the main tools to keep him dreaming within Headspace. Just as she, like, is kind of a tool to keep the player playing in the beginning parts of the story where things might not be super interesting. Certainly not as interesting as they get later on. So yeah, I really didn't even think about that with Aubry, but definitely going in A tier. I actually might move her to S tier later on. Let's see what gets up here first before we do all that. But yeah, she's gonna be an A tier for now. I'm gonna skip this Aubry for right now because I don't want to really do two in a row. I don't know who this is. This is, I don't remember. We have three Basils here. So obviously Headspace, Real World, and I guess this is the boss, just the boss version, has their own thing in this list. I guess I'll rank the boss version. I'll go A tier. It is a really good boss fight in that you just don't want to do it. You know, like, you want to run, But even I've seen a lot of people play more like streamers and like YouTubers and stuff, and even they're kind of hesitant to hit the run button because during this fight, like obviously you don't want to fight Basil, like you don't want to hurt him. But the only other alternative, you have fight or you have run. I think that for one says a lot about Sonny as a character and how he really reacts to these things in his very immature mindset. But there's a lot of hesitancy to even run because what does running mean? What does running from Basil mean in this situation? And I think if you've seen the neutral routes, that would mean Basil takes his own life. So you don't want to run, but obviously you don't want to fight. So it really makes a situation where you don't know what to do. And I think that really puts you into Sonny's mindset so incredibly well. Maybe the best that's in the game. Do I put it to S? I might move it down. Is this heater? It's like bright at me. My hands are literally freezing right now. They're like icicles. Alright, so let's go Headspace Basil. He's not really... I mean, he's sweet, but... He's there. He doesn't really... I mean, he makes some flower crowns, talks about flowers. Obviously it's a very important thing, but even the game itself and OMORI himself doesn't even want you to find Basil. So he's clearly... When it comes to the Headspace, which is Headspace Basil, obviously, he doesn't... It's weird because he literally is technically the main quest for the entirety of Headspace. He doesn't really do much though, and the game's kind of designed to make him not important. Like if you're fighting one of the Squid Girls or one of these guys, or Pluto over here, you don't really care about Basil. You're just fighting them. You're in the moment, So I'll leave him at B for now. I kind of want to, I want to save the real world. Move over. I want to save them for a bit later, especially because I've already said a lot about them, but I really want to get my thoughts together, really do them justice. So I'm going to do a random poll here. Boss is... I don't mind Boss as a character, but obviously I like his name, Boss. It's literally like the first boss fight. And it's supposed to be the tutorial, but it's kind of not. I do wonder if they have... Oh, yeah, right here. Okay. This is the tutorial fight. I'm going to rank him. Let's see. He's the tutorial fight. Boss just isn't. You just attack. You don't learn about emotions or... you don't learn about any of that stuff. Or, like, all-out attacks or things like that. That comes mostly from him and all the stuff leading up to it. So I'm satisfied with that for now. I don't know what this tree is. Is that supposed to be the tree that Mari... If it is, we don't like that tree. This cat Butler. I'll give a B. He's cool. I mean, he gives you another dilemma similar to... I'm not going to put him in S tier, obviously, but it gives you a dilemma that is a very poignant part of the game. And maybe the best part of Black Space, honestly. So, we'll give him a B. I don't know if he comes in... I know he's in the drawings, but I don't know if he comes in any other part of the game that I know of. So, I'm going to leave him B for now, because he does give an interesting dilemma. This is Kim... Yeah, it's definitely Kim in Headspace. Burley's the name, yeah. I mean... Yeah, I don't know. Burley's... don't really have an opinion. Daddy Longlegs. This is a hot take. One of the worst parts... honestly, of OMORI, and I don't even want to criticize it because it's really hard to find anyway, but if you do find Daddy Longlegs, like Pyrofly Forest, I believe is where he is originally. kind of spoils a lot of the lore that you find out much, much later on. And I don't really like how they handle that during his section. I like what they do with the tree with before Humphrey. Yeah, before Humphrey. I do like that. But Daddy Longlegs, he's okay. Dorothy, I think this is. I don't have an opinion. I like the design. I didn't fight Dorothy. I think she's on the train. Didn't find him. I'm not going to rank a lot of the enemies here. Because I did his quest, but he kind of looks like a bunny and a duck. I don't know if that's intentional. It kind of pissed me off, though, D-tier. I do like these guys. These guys are funny. I'm giving them a solid C tier. I'm kind of just going through. I'm not even going like in any kind of order. I'm just kind of going through looking at this. This mouse. So my girlfriend is playing OMORI, not as we speak, but you know, has been playing OMORI recently. And this mouse, she kept hitting it over and over, and it was hilarious. I'm giving it a B tier. He did a public service by doing that. It was absolutely hilarious. So I'll put him up there. Kite Kid. Listen. He's just a man, a kid, who likes to fly his kites. And I can't diss him for that. But at the same time, I actually fought him after I beat Humphrey. I didn't even know he was in the game. Which shows how much exploring I did in Headspace. But, yeah. He's a kid who likes his kite. You know, I'm not gonna give him a good C tier for that. This is pretty much like the average. Even though technically this is like no opinion. I'd give this to be the average. Actually, well, B would. It's my list. C's the average. This is Kel and Hero's parents. The dad's kind of a Chad. And the mom, I don't remember the mom. But Hector. That's a good boy. Now, does he have a mustache? Is that what that is on his face? Because if so, I mean, come on. It's a dog with potentially a mustache. I'm leaving him there for now. Kool-Aid guy. I know he's Life Jam guy, but he's obviously the Kool-Aid man. He's hilarious. The fight with him, there's an animation. I completely forgot who made it. It might be that one guy. It's literally the YouTube name. I'm pretty sure. I'm not. I don't quote me on that, but it was just showing how the fight actually like went down, like him just absolutely demolishing the entire party, and it's hilarious. And look at like he does it while with that face. Like you can't be mad at him. You know he's just probably one of the funniest parts of Headspace. And as much as I didn't really explore too much around, I mean, I have 30 hours in the game, but Faraway Town really drew me in a lot more than Headspace ever did. But, you know, the first thing I really noticed about OMORI, and the first reason why I loved it, because it was really, really funny. I compared it to Undertale, which I don't want to do too much, but Undertale is probably the funniest game I've ever played, and OMORI's second. You know, it's because of things like Kool-Aid. Or Life Jam guy. So, yeah. I'm gonna... I'll go Charlie. Charlie's... when you're fighting the hooligans, Charlie's face is cut off. And if you watched my longer OMORI analysis video to the end, in the credits, I did comment on how Charlie's face was literally cut off. Which I just found very funny. So I'll leave Charlie in C. Yeah, don't really. Orange Oasis. I can tell by the background this is Orange Oasis. I did not. I don't even want to admit this. I did not even find Orange Oasis. I don't think I knew it was in the game before I finished it. So I'm gonna leave him there. I don't know what this is. This man has a respectable mustache. C tier. I like him as a shopkeep. Meow. I'm gonna call him the cat for right now. I'm gonna give A tier. And if you're once again, if you're a fan of the channel, you know I did, or probably know. If you didn't, you should go check it out, of course. But you probably know I did a poem on OMORI, or from Sunny's, Sunny slash OMORI's perspective, titled "Waiting for Something to Happen." Obviously, that's what Mimo says, the cat, sorry, in Whitespace, and I just love that idea. You have, I mean, it's basically Sunny. You have Sunny, and he's within Whitespace as OMORI. He's just literally sitting around, and it's almost like, I'm not gonna say he expects things to change, but it's almost like he's waiting for something to happen. And I do think that's one of the most relatable things about the game. Is I do this all the time, but I know every single other person has done this. There's something you want, or something you want to get away from, or any one of those things. But you're waiting. You're waiting for it to happen. You're not really actively doing anything to go after that. And that's a big thing of what Sunny does throughout the game, and really the main journey he goes through. So I just love what the cat represents. It's a cat. I mean, what else is there to say? I love cats. So I'm gonna drop down the B eventually, but I'll give it A for now. Let's go Headspace Cal. I'll give him B. He's definitely my least favorite of the Headspace main cast, which is it's still in B, so it's saying a lot of the chemistry they have together. But I just kind of found him annoying. He just wasn't really interesting at all to me. He's interesting in the real world, but in Headspace, he's really just kind of annoying, and that's kind of his character, which, the Headspace characters are supposed to be like character, archetypes, because that's how Sunny views his friends, or viewed them as a young age, and especially as time has moved on. If you look at your own old friends, you start to forget a lot of the things, like the nuances about them, and I find that you only really remember the stereotype or the archetype, or the things like, oh yeah, they were kind of annoying, or yeah, they were really upbeat and happy, or they were really supportive and could literally do anything. Did you see Hero in Last Resort? He did literally a million things at once. He's overly capable to a point where obviously no one's actually that capable. So it is clear that the art was to be those archetypes. I just found Kels to be the most annoying, which makes sense. He's literally supposed to be annoying. So I'm gonna give him a B though, because obviously the chemistry is just amazing for these characters. So yeah, I'll give him a B for now. I love the Wizard Hat. I did the poster thing. I don't want to really put in C tier. I don't have too much of an opinion. What is this? He's really cute, though. I'm gonna move him up. This is a cool thing. It's a cool enemy. I'll leave him in a C tier. Now this, if you watch Nitro Red's video on OMORI, he did mention the Sproutmo, who literally just has an axe taped to him. And this is one of my favorite enemies in the game. it's just funny. I imagine how he tries to fight with that thing, and I just can't. He just swing his body around. I don't know. But through these short, stubby legs, I'm giving him a B tier. I might rank these. I might rank the tier levels. I'm not gonna bother with all these because I don't care too much about them all here. But I might rank the top 3. So he'd probably be at the bottom of that, but for now, something. It's between these two. should I call him her? Yeah, I'll just call it Ed. Something is maybe my favorite video game. I guess villain. I'd say something is the villain, quote unquote, of the game. Aside from obviously OMORI himself, but I'd give something the S tier here. It may be my favorite video game villain of all time. Because what it represents is so, widely encompassing. You have the fears of heights, drowning, all of that, which, we do learn is connected to Mari, but, they've really manifested into, like, their own phobias themselves, Like, I have a fear of lily pads, fear of lily pads, which a lot of people make fun of me for, but, when I was a kid, me and my brother were, like, trying to jump across this, like, man-made pond. Very, very small pond that you could leap across. And I tried it. I tried, leaping across it. And I'm pretty short guy. Especially back then, I was super short. So I didn't have the leg length to really, like, gazelle leap across the pond. And I fell in, and a lily pad got wrapped around my leg. And I thought, I guess I didn't really think I was drowning, but it's, I was a pretty young kid, so it's obviously still scary. And to this day, I'm still scared of lily pads. Now, when I see a lily pad, I don't think of that drowning incident, I think... Well, first of all, I didn't know lily pads had stems, and that thought just absolutely horrifies me. Like, you look under the water, and you just see, like, a million stems just there. Like, entangling you like a web. That kind of thing. It's terrifying. I don't even want to talk about it. It's literally terrifying to me. But I don't think of the drowning event, necessarily. And I think it's similar with Sunny, to where... I mean, obviously... The fear of heights, I would assume, came from pushing Mari down the stairs. It's more of a fear of the stairs, really, than a fear of heights, I think. But I think that can develop into just a phobia in itself. Just like I don't think about the drowning, I think about the actual object of my fear, And it's a hard thing to describe, but I think OmoCat describes it perfectly. With it's something. It's such a basic name that really just encompasses everything, and it's actually genius. It's actually genius, the name of something. And also the design is, I love the design. When it comes to horror and horror games, I don't like it when the main objective is to scare you. I like when there's just, like, a vision aside from all that, and there's a story to tell. And this, to me, when I look at something, I don't necessarily look at something that's, like, I'm supposed to look at this and be absolutely horrified. I mean, I am, but I don't think it's, like, the first intention behind that, It's just, it's like a vision to me. It's a clear design. And we obviously learn where that design spawned from, And that whole reveal with revealing something to be, the image of Mari hanging from the tree, and, when they look back and they have the one eye just kind of bulging out. I mean, that's just... Does it get much more terrifying than that? And it's a little... Obviously, it's a little moment in time where that happened, but it's something that if you see that, you quite literally can never forget that, and you can't hide away in your little world and pretend it's not there, because that image of something is always gonna be there. It's never gonna go away. It's always gonna corrode Headspace. It's gonna go with you when you leave to move to the next town. It's always going to be with you. And it's a powerful something. It's a powerful something. So I'm going to leave something in S tier. For sure. I'll give them C. I'm going to put them all in C because they don't really distinguish themselves too much from me. I think this is the one. Yeah, I don't really know. I'll put them all in C. Because I do. Actually, no, I'll put them in B. I love their designs. I think they're just sick. The colors, how they coordinate with each other and with their own like outfits and stuff. Really, just like the general concept behind them. I love it. I think it's awesome. So I'll put them in B tier. I might move them down. We'll see. Pluto is a B. I just like Pluto. I mean, he's funny and he's strangely a little motivating, actually. But the one thing I don't like about Pluto, I might even put him in A tier if it wasn't for this. I hate the fast travel system. It's clunky. You know, you have to go to the station. I just don't like how they did it. I think I used it. I don't think I ever used it once where I actually had to. I think I just used it like once, just like, oh, try it out. But aside from that, I don't think I ever really used it. So I'm going to believe him in B. But we have this Pluto. This moment manages to be maybe the most epic in the game. And also one of the funniest. When Jossum cuts off Pluto. Where is he? There he is. When he cuts off Pluto. I mean, the comedic timing is actually genius. Like, I don't know what else to say about that. I'll even B. Jossum, I'll give a B. I like him a lot. Like, obviously, as a person, I don't like him, but you're obviously really not supposed to. He's just funny. You know, he's a good boss. And I do like how Jossum, and thus pretty much the entirety of Last Resort, really represents this very childlike view of adult working life. And obviously that's really all Sunny knows. And all the knowledge that Omori can base, that part of Headspace on, is that very immature look on it. Like, pretty much signing your life away to work for no pay. Like, that's the most, like, boiled down, kind of stereotypical view on working life that really lacks any of the nuance that normally you would include with that. But at the same time, I mean, he kind of has a point. But like I said, it lacks all of the nuance that comes with that, which I think only adds to the game. Because the entirety of the game is just Sunny's perspective, and it really adds a good element to show us Sunny's worldview and how he views adult life. So definitely a B tier. I might move him up to A. We'll see. I might switch these two. I don't know yet. This bear is really funny. I got stuck in the room with like 12 of them, and it took me half an hour to beat them, which you'd think I'd be mad about. But I really wasn't. I never got bored, even though I kept doing the same thing to take care of every bear. Making them angry, taking away their damage, all that. Making Mori and Aubrey happy. I always liked the bear, though. He's just funny. I don't know. A lot of these are just like, they're funny. Because it's really all the substance they really kind of have. I like these hats. I did not beat the ghost side quests. Which, watching my girlfriend play it, I kind of wish I would have. Like, that's the one side quest in Headspace I really wish I would have done, because I think of, I don't know if he's on here, but I think of the poor ghost, and it kind of makes me want to cry, just thinking about him, no one being at his party. Like, that's the saddest shit. It doesn't get much sadder than no one coming to your birthday party. So, I just wish I would have done that side quest. For sure. I'm assuming this is a regular Sprout Mole. I'll give him a B. I love the Sprout Moles. I just think they're funny. When the group of four, like, when they're trying to find Sweetheart's, like, castle to watch the show and how you get the ticket, and they all of a sudden get lost, and you had that moment, you're like, oh, fuck, they're gonna come running at me. I love that moment. I think it's just funny. Probably one of the best moments in Headspace, so. And also the Sprout Mole Village. Their strange obsession with tofu. And I don't know if Cat likes tofu or doesn't. And that's honestly one of the most interesting questions I think the game brings up. Like, obviously, ramen's in the toilet. So you'd have to assume she doesn't like ramen. But all the Sprout Moles are so insanely obsessed with tofu. And it's not like people are obsessed with tofu in real life, for the most part. So it's not some like, stereotype of people. So, because they also describe it tasting like cardboard. And I can't tell if that's like a loving, like, oh, tofu tastes like cardboard. Huh, I still love it though. Or is it like it actually just tastes like fucking cardboard? Why do people eat this? I don't know. This question is so interesting to me. I'm moving up to A tier. What the fuck is this? I don't know, but I love it. This was a fun boss fight. The hands. I actually do want to talk about this for a second. There's a lot of hand imagery in OMORI, and I am possibly working on a video. So you, obviously in like red space, once you get to the end of black space and you like kill Basil, or you know, Headspace Basil, OMORI does, and like goes on the hand throne. If you look at the hands in the background, they do this kind of pose. And I remember seeing something like that, and I was looking into it, and if anyone, you know, watches a lot of anime, they probably know what Elfenlied is. Great anime. Watch the manga's much better though. Read the manga. Just got released in English not that long ago. But I watched the video concerning Elfenlied and like that bent arm kind of pose. And I'm trying to connect the two because I think they're like, they might be the same pose. I'm not sure. Because I know it like means something. It was in some like old art painting. So I love the hand imagery in OMORI. And I think it all comes down to really what Sunny used to kill Mari. Obviously, he pushed her down the stairs. What Basil used to tie her up. It's the hands. And I think in a weird way, Sunny subconsciously relates his self-identity to his hands in that sense. Like, obviously, you know, he's stuck in that moment of killing Mari. That's, I mean, not that he necessarily remembers it in the beginning of the game, but, you know, it's subconscious. He's stuck on that. And, you know, even in white space, the hands are everywhere. And maybe, I don't know. See, these are kind of the interesting things you can, like, think about when you're doing a tier list kind of just off the dome like this. Because they keep you within white space. Like, not going too far. And they help out OMORI a lot. And if OMORI kind of acts as like a self-insert character in a way for Sunny, and maybe even, at least, especially take the Hikikomori route, what he relates to more than himself. Like, you look in the mirror and it's literally OMORI he sees, not himself. So it's pretty clear that even in the beginning of the game, you can kind of assume that he relates to OMORI more than he relates to himself, as he spends most of his time, you know, in Headspace or Whitespace as OMORI. And Omori himself was spawned from that incident. So I think, you know, the kind of the hands. So yeah, as you look at Sonny relating himself to Omori more than himself, I think you know, when it comes to something like that, the body in self-identity is a very abstract concept. But Omori's not exactly new to tackling abstract concepts. And I think it's pretty safe to say that when it comes to his body, which he doesn't really... I mean, he moves around the house during the day and, like, eats and throws it up and stuff like that, but... he's kind of a person whose real self-identity, real consciousness, kind of lies outside his body. And I think that it's everything but the hands. I think the hands tie him... I think the hands are what ties him to his actual physical self. As they would really relate to Omori, as we see, you know, later in the game as they help out Omori. So, yeah, I mean, I could dive more into it, but I don't want to spend all the time talking about the red hand from Omori, you know. But I'm going to leave it in A tier. I think it's a very interesting concept that I would be interested in kind of trying to dive more into. Maybe in its own separate video, honestly. I'm not really... I haven't really thought about it till now, and I'm really thinking about it. It's just interesting to me. Let's go with an easy character to counterbalance that. I love this. I think it's Charlie's Headspace. Oh, definitely. B tier. I mean, look at it's just funny. Definitely have to be Omori right now. I mean, she gives... You know, I'm all about recycling, and she gives me money. So what really do I have to complain about? I don't really have... These are just the regular ones. Is this Sir Maximus? Or is this Sir Maximus? I'll say it's the regular one. Sir Maximus and all his sons are hilarious B tier. Right next to his sister. I get what they're going for. And I do think the two of them are kind of funny with the candy thing, but I mean they are bullies, and I think it's important to recognize that. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying like the worst people. I mean, you would assume they're... I think he's younger, but you assume these two are like 16. And I'm not saying like the worst kids ever, but you know, when you look at all these other characters who don't really do that much wrong, you know, I do kind of see the hooligans as an actual villain in the game. So I'll leave these two together in the fucking bottom of D tier. Fuck these guys. Ooh, his parents. Nice, right next to his parents. This, I might leave that in no opinion. That one's hard. That one's really hard. Because, like, you can assume he left the family. But it is unknown how much... I mean, some people do think he knew that Sonny and Basil were behind the apparent suicide. And if he did know that, he's going... I'm making a new tier for F tier, because, you know, it is unbelievably tragic, and I don't know how anyone would deal with that. But at the same time, you know, you are a parent, and to leave your son alone after that, I just can't forgive that. But it's not really confirmed. I'll put him in no opinion. I might move him later. The mom is... she's still around, definitely. She takes care of him, kind of. But he also throws up, obviously spoiled... Well, not obviously, but probably spoiled steak that... Who microwaves a steak? Who does that? D tier. I mean, the match. I mean, well, maybe they're poor. But even if they're poor, do you leave your son alone, who has a lot of problems, obviously, do you leave him alone for like a week, and which a lot of the routes causes a lot of can lead to a lot of bad things happening. Uh, is that worth getting a sale, even if you don't necessarily have the money? As much as I do sympathize if that's the case, I just don't know. I gotta put her in D2. I can't put her above that. Abby's tentacles. I don't know what this is. Hikikomori route, definitely, I would assume. I can't get over how great that design is. Yeah. I'll try to throw a lot of these in no opinion. I love these guys. This is actually one of the best parts of... If we're going to use this to represent the entirety of that... dungeon... Do I put that in A tier? Because obviously this is like... If it was one of the enemies in there, like, I don't really care. But, like... If I want it to really mean something and I'd make it mean the whole thing. I love that dungeon, and it does show... It characterizes Sunny because it's a daydream, which is funny, and yeah, he daydreams a lot. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a good time. The option to disturb Earth is one of my favorite parts of Headspace. I think it's the only boss fight where I actually died, so I gotta give it props for that. Is this Polly? Or is that Basil's grandma? I'll see. The sister, yeah. I kind of like the design. Snaily. Now, the only thing I knew about him is he's the one who dies during Sweetheart's game show. But as I'm watching my girlfriend play, it was like after Last Resort, he just came around. I'm like, what? Like, why is he here? Why are you fighting him? Apparently, like, he kept coming around before that. Just watching him, like, try to, like, train up. And then he just keeps dying every 5 seconds. He's so cute. He's so cute. I'll put him right here for probably, like, the top of B tier. He's just so adorable. And he's just funny. I respect the grind, honestly. I did not fight them. Because they're in Orange Oasis. I never got there. So, I mean, they're cool. I love I do love the designs. And the music's a bop. Might move that. I did not fight any of these three. I like the concept of other sweethearts as boss fights. The one I've seen is Perfect Heart. So let me do her first. This is a great boss fight from what I've seen. It's obviously super challenging, and the music, maybe the best boss music in the game? I'm not sure. But she's fucking awesome. Give her a B tier. And then I haven't seen the other two. Yeah, I actually really hate this design. I like her. Like, she's really, she's a very cute design. I just haven't seen the boss fight. I'll put her in no opinion. I can't really form an opinion on her. I don't know what this is. Space Boyfriend. Is this controversial? I saw another tier list. He was, like, up here. And, like, I actually am looking at it. I mean, all the designs are good pretty much in this game. So I can't give him too much points for that. But, like, he's definitely my least favorite. Yeah, he's my least favorite boss, like, actual boss in Headspace. Like, his fight's not that hard. Like, he's cool. I don't really have much to say about him, to be honest. I did not do this fight, so I think I've seen some of it, but it looks cool. I just haven't seen enough to really give an opinion on it. So this is Vance, and that's the Headspace. Yeah. You know, we have these two together. We're gonna put these two together, cause fuck them. This is really cute. I'll give it a C though. Okay, the wormhole pun is kind of really funny when it's actualized by character design. But is it that funny? I move them up to... Alright. Because I love the Gators, so I'll put them up there. Hobo guy. Yeah, I mean, he's there. This is... I was gonna say, this is definitely Polly. I just don't know. This is... What's he called? Something boy? I know it's like a... Another comic OMOCat did. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty boy, that's what it is. Yeah, I don't have an opinion. What? See Pollywood. I don't know. I've never seen that. This is an amazing image. Upper C tier. This hamster's really cute, but not cute enough to have an opinion on it. So this is Hector the Pet Rock. Now, I did not get to Orange Oasis, but this is the funniest part of Headspace. Yeah, I think off the top of my head, like Hector starting a family, and I think you get like Hector Jr. or whatever. I think that interaction is just so goddamn hilarious that like I didn't even see it in my playthrough. A tier. It's probably the funniest part of Headspace, to be honest. I don't know who this is. Yeah, we're really getting down to the ones I really have to talk about. Which obviously I want to do, but it's just going to be so hard. Humphrey. This is Humphrey as a whole, yeah. Humphrey's probably my favorite area in Headspace, I'd say. Aside from maybe Otherworld. First of all, the main track is maybe the best song in the game. It's the best main like area track at least. Easily. I love Humphrey in the song. And as the character, he's like so many different characters that like he kind of encompasses so much. But the I fucking love air conditioning line is hilarious. First of all, it's hilarious. I got that in my playthrough. I didn't know that like you might not get it in playthroughs. That it's due to your WTF value or whatever. I did not know that. So I got that in my playthrough. Made me really love Humphrey. And he's just fun. And he, you know, when I played and even made my longer video on it, I didn't look too much into Humphrey. I looked into Sweetheart a lot more. But Humphrey is where things in Headspace get really interesting because obviously the facade's not gone. Like it's still this like magical fantasy land. But a lot of the themes or not themes, but a lot of like the problems Sunny has to deal with start encroaching. And a lot of the commenters point out to me the whole hunger aspect. And that's why I said earlier, the steak might not be spoiled. Like maybe he just threw it up because like he can't handle food. And like his, you know, you look at a boss like an area like Humphrey, and maybe that represents Sunny's body literally metabolizing into itself. Like obviously he's much thinner and more pale than like he should be, which is pointed out by Aubry. I think like one other character. And that's the thing that doesn't really get, you know, tackled too much within the game. But then, you know, I'm looking at these comments and I'm like, okay. You know, I'm starting to think of Humphrey a little more, and he really does kind of represent that. You know? And I don't have like a full deep dive character analysis on Humphrey right now. But I do think it's interesting how he can represent something that's not really too talked about within the game. And I think that's one of the benefits of doing the Hikikomori route is you see Sunny's his inner thoughts more. You know, like the kind of fucked up mentality he has really before he learns to forgive himself and like let his friends in. And all that like a character like Abby, you know, that lore stuff. I'm gonna move her up to B, actually. I'll think about that. But all that lore stuff, you know, you don't think about it too much. At least I did it when I'm doing the main route, or the true route. Because I'm thinking about all, like, the faraway town stuff and, like, the actual story. But I do think it's really interesting looking at Headspace and, you know, looking at these characters, bosses, and areas, and really relating that back to Sonny's, his mentality and his mental state. You know, how he's doing. And, yeah, you know, I love Humphrey for that. And even before that, he probably still, like, being a B tier, because, like I said, probably my favorite area in the game. Probably. Oh, we're really getting down to the wire here. The Maverick. Mikkel. I know I was gonna put him, like, all in D tier, except for, like, maybe Charlie, but, like, he's the one who I'll excuse him for being goofy. Not excuse him. Like, if he's bullying people, obviously he's, like, he's probably, like, a shitty person. But first of all, he is really funny. I mean, paying, like, girls to hang out with him is like, that reveal is very funny to me. But I do think there's a very subtle theme of, like, low self-esteem and how that ties in identity with the Maverick. I mean, he literally changes his name to sound like an anime character. Like, he does, I think it's like a Dragon Ball Z thing, the reference. He's like Earth, you know, calling to Earth. I got Digimon out, like the Digimon movie out of that with, like, I mean, technically it's halfway through the movie, but, like, the end of the first part where, like, they're calling to, like, all of, like, the kids and they're all emailing and all that shit. Like, that's what I thought of. I'm guessing it's more of a Dragon Ball Z reference, but, you know, kind of donning that identity, that false identity, something that Sonny kind of does a lot, I think is kind of explored through the Maverick, with the name, you know, with the fake attitude, with his wig. Yeah, I actually think he's a fascinating character. Do I move him to A tier? They're in B tier. I'm looking at this now. I think too many characters are in B tier. Do I move him to A tier? It's my list. Yeah, it's fascinating. Now I'm thinking about it, it's just fascinating to me. Sweetheart. I didn't really find her annoying. I mean, I found Kel annoying, and he's supposed to be. So is Sweetheart. But I never found her to be. And it's against Humphrey or Sweetheart for my favorite area in Headspace. The castle or inside Humphrey. And I love her design, and I just think she's a very, very fun character. And I'm kind of surprised that I really don't find her annoying, but I just don't. I just think she's an entertaining character. And I do think there's a lot to analyze with her in terms of self-love and how it can kind of turn toxic. And when I first analyzed her for my longer OMORI video, that's when I kind of left it on. I'm pretty sure, at least. But when you look back again, and you realize literally everything is through Sonny's perspective, and not the creator of the game, you kind of start to realize that maybe that attitude on self-love is just a projection from Sonny. You know, obviously he's someone who he can't self-love at this point when, you know, you encounter Sweetheart. So it's almost like he's making fun of it. You know, so he doesn't have to recognize the validity of it. His subconscious self is like, oh yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's like, oh, I'm gonna marry myself. You know, like taking it to that extreme of a level. I think it's just fascinating. And I do kind of take back what I said about it's a critique on self-love from OMOCAT, because I really don't think it is. Especially because self-love is such an important aspect of the game. I think it's more of Sonny's perspective on self-love and how it is very flawed because he can't achieve that up to this point. And he makes a character like Sweetheart, so it doesn't have to validate that aspect. Do I move her to S tier? I'm gonna move her to S tier. That might be. Yeah, I'm gonna move her to S tier. I really like that thought. Really showing Sunny's perspective on that. So yeah, I might move her down, but for now, I'm gonna keep her in S tier. We're gonna have a few more S tiers joining them very, very soon. Let's get the little characters out of the way first. Entertaining. I just don't know who's who. I think maybe Basil's grandma. I don't know. We're gonna say this is Polly. Yeah, we're gonna say that's Polly. Polly's just nice. I mean, can you really dislike Polly? You kinda can't. So, he's barely in the game. Okay. Now we've gone down to it. Okay. Aubry. This is an easy S tier. Aubry might be my favorite character in the game. It's between her and Sunny / OMORI. Aubry might be my favorite, though. And I do want to start with her character design. The pink and, like, neon blue, whatever. The pink and blue combination. And you pair that with the spike bat and the jet. Like, the whole look, the whole design. I fucking love it. I think it is so... It's just cool. Like, it's literally just cool to look at. I don't want to call it badass, because it's... I don't think it's really what it's about, but it's just a very appealing character design. It's, like, so appealing that... Maybe that alone, I'd move her to S tier. Obviously, that's not all with her character, but... When it comes to me, I watch things, like anime or, like, other things based on visual design. Like, I love Rick and Morty. One of the best shows ever made, I think. I haven't watched the last 2 seasons. And that's because I hate the color green. And that is the dumbest thing ever. Like, that's literally stupid. That I don't watch one of my favorite shows of all time. Because I hate a color. Like, the aesthetic of the show. That's how I feel. And that's, I love Aubry. It's my favorite character because of that. For a lot of it. Diving into her character more, though. You know, she's... All three, Cal, Hero, and Aubry, are different ways to deal with the negative emotion. Tragedy, really. And I think Aubry's is the most interesting and maybe the one most people secretly can relate to. I don't think they like to admit it to themselves, but, you know, I think most people can relate to her. That lashing out in anger. Yeah, it's really a way to protect yourself. And I think when you lose somebody, it's hard for you to want to open up again or to open up more because you have that fear. And I think fear, you know, with all their responses, it all really lies in fear. And with Aubry, it's that fear of, you know, you open up again and you lose someone else, especially when it's as tragic as, you know, an apparent suicide. And I just think her reaction to that, it's so natural, you know? Especially when she sees Basil, or who she thinks is Basil, like, you know, blacking out the pictures. I do see why that sent her over the edge. Not to say she's justified, and she does bully Basil for presumably 4 years, like 3.5 or whatever. And that's wrong, you know? You can't say that's right of her to do. But at the same time, the game makes sure you clearly understand why she's doing that, and that what she's doing is wrong, and how she does realize that. And I think when she comes back to the group, the last day of Headspace, I was very surprised to find her to be very kind of calm, cool, and collected. You know, before that, all you really saw of her is like her angry outbursts and her like mean streak. But once she really cools down and like starts to open up a little bit again, she's kind of the voice of reason in the little group, which you would expect Hero to be. But we'll get to him. Believe me, we'll get to him. But she does become that kind of voice of reason, and she's kind of like, what's it called? The deadpan reaction to I forget. There's a word for that, but like she's like the deadpan. Look at her face. She's the deadpan reaction to all the jokes, you know, which is funny, especially when you look at this dungeon. She's great in that, especially her real world tags. But yeah, I think her reaction to Mari's death is just maybe the most interesting out of the group. And then you look at her family life, and I did talk about this a lot in my other video, but I do believe that she has been abused, maybe physically, but certainly emotionally, probably for the majority of her life. There's a few things you can look at with her, and I think it explains a lot of how she does deal with Mari's death, if she was abused. Turning to anger, you know, I think that's something that's taught or can be taught, is really turning to anger, especially when there's like an emotionally high tension situation. You know, you've been taught to, the way you deal with that is through yelling, or, you know, God forbid, hitting, or things like that. And I think that really does explain a lot of how, you know, she learns to cope with Mari's death. Also, even if she hasn't been abused, like, the father has left the house, and I do believe he was abusing the family. You know, you look at the mental state, the apparent mental state of the mother, and it's not good, to say the least. You know, living in a house like that, and obviously it's not like a, you know, 3D game. You can't see the full extent through like a POV perspective, but you can assume with how much garbage is lying around, the condition of the apartment, and just the droning silence, just like drilling its way into your fucking head. You can assume that even if she hasn't been abused before, I would probably count that as abuse now, living within those conditions. It is a very sensitive topic, and, you know, there's a lot of nuance to it, but I think that's the stance I would take on that, you know? And I do think the mother mentally got to that place to where, I mean, she doesn't have a single line of dialogue. She's just in her chair watching literally static. I don't think it could be any more clear that she is broken mentally. And I personally, a little headcanon here, but I think she got to that state from years of abuse, and then the father eventually leaving. Obviously, I don't know the situation. The only person who would be the, you know, the people that made it, and even, you know, even they might not know 100%, but, you know, that's kind of my interpretation on it, and, you know, there's a lot of the reason why I think Aubry is the second most fascinating character, potentially, in OMORI. So, I'm leaving her at the top of S tier. She might be number 2, but she's 1 or 2 for me. It's, you know, no one else is really getting up there. So let's look down here. Headspace Hero. I'll put him next to Aubry, just because. He's so goofily able to do literally everything that. I mean, he's literally built to be likable, so I don't think I even have to say more on that. Oof. Kel. I mean, he is certainly much, much better than this version of Kel. And if I'm putting like someone like Sweetheart in S tier, I think I have to put Kel there too. He is basically the driving force for the entire game. I mean, he's the one who brings Sunny out of the house, and in Headspace for the hide and seek, he's the first one that gets found on purpose. And obviously, his actions can be annoying, but that's never because of him. That's never really the intention from what we see in real world Cal, at least. He's not trying to be like annoying, and he's just kind of the best friend ever. Like when everyone talks about, will the gang forgive Sunny and Basil for killing Mari and covering it up, literally everyone says that, yeah, Cal will forgive them. And I'm not saying that they have to forgive them or makes them bad friends if they don't forgive him. Obviously the situation is, I can't imagine, so I wouldn't blame them for that. But I mean, Cal just, he's always gonna support you no matter what. And I think he learned a lot after Mari's death, and leaving someone like, I'll put them next to each other, leaving someone like Aubry to kind of fend for herself, because Cal could have been there, and I don't think there will ever be a time in his life where he's not there for a friend again. So I just can't see him personally. I can't see him leaving Sunny and Basil to deal with the situation themselves. He's literally just the best friend ever. And I do think, going back to Mari's death and how he tackles it, I do think it's interesting, maybe more so than Aubrey's, where it's not the most relatable, but it's the least talked about, is that happy. He's trying to be happy. And you don't get too much from Kel's perspective during that time, but you can kind of assume that he failed in that in a lot of aspects. And he only really did that to try to, not step on toes or things like that. And trying to blindly cover up a tragedy with happy thoughts. That's something that Sunny does, And something that characters like Sayori from Doki Doki Literature Club or things like that, that's what they do. And I don't think that's talked about enough when we talk about like mental health and how we deal with trauma and tragedy. We don't talk about the covering it up with those happy thoughts, or surrounding yourself with people that are not in the situation, that you can kind of, in a way, dissociate yourself from the situation entirely, by surrounding yourself with people and kind of becoming an entirely new person, When I was thinking about this list, I feel like I was probably going to put Kel in A tier. But I got to put... I really don't want to put them all in S tier. I really don't. Because it's not really interesting. But at the same time, I'm not going to put someone where they don't belong, So I'm going to have them in S tier for now. Real world... Not real world. Headspace Mari. She gets the top of A tier. Maybe move to S tier, I don't know. But she's really the personification of warmth, of comfort, especially for Sunny. I literally never missed an opportunity to take a picnic with her. And I basically hung on. I mean, there wasn't a lot that she said throughout Headspace, but every word that she did say, I hung on to that, And I think she does a lot to put you in the headspace, no pun intended, of Sunny. to where you want to hang on to every last word she says, because that's really all he has left of her is this version of her. You know, even if it's an ideal version of her, you can just tell that in the real world, she was comforting and she was loving. And this Mari just encompasses all of that, you know? Do I move her to S tier? Do I get that emotional speech and then have her in A tier? I might move her up. I'm not sure yet. Poof. Okay. Let's do Basil. Fuck. Do I have Basil in A tier? If he is, he's at the top of A tier. Oh, I really kind of don't want to put him in A tier, but I'm really thinking about it. Because a lot of the things I'm basing this on how interesting they are. And Basil, I kind of get it without really needing to think about it too much, I think. I mean, he was a young... It was his idea to stage the suicide. And I get, he was just a very, very young kid. And I do see people really being very angry with him. I did see a tier list video, however much time ago, where I think Basil was, like, in D tier. I think Sunny was there, too, but we don't even have to talk about that. But, I saw him in, like, D tier. And I do not get that at all. You know? Like, I don't really understand people who really, like, paint him as a villain. I mean, just like Sunny, he was just a super... He was, like, 11 or 12 or whatever. And going through something that horrific or seeing your best friend doing something like that, that's incomprehensible, you know? You can't... You literally cannot wrap your mind around that mentally. You can't do it at that age. You just can't. Even at, I'm 22. Even at my age, I can't do that. But, not that I've been in the situation, but I don't imagine I'd be able to be. Or be able to. But, being at 12, 10 years younger than I am, I just can't imagine that. And I just... The sole reasoning he did that was to help his best friend, Sunny. And I'm not going to say it's commendable, because, I mean, he literally staged a suicide. What he did and what they did was evil and wrong, but, the entire journey of the game is for them to be able to forgive themselves. That's, I mean, when you boil it down and cut out all the fat or everything else, what it's all leading to, it leads to them finally forgiving themselves for doing something evil or something bad. He literally, like, encompasses, like, I can't. Also, he is very sweet. I mean, in the real world, he's just an anxious wreck, but, he is very sweet. But here's the thing, too. I'm going to have Sunny... Sunny's going here. I mean, spoiler alert, he's going in S tier. And I can't have them apart. I just can't. They're best friends. They went on this journey of self-forgiveness kind of together. I can't separate them. So he'll go in S tier. Maybe I'll move him down, who knows. 4 more. We're recording for almost an hour and a half. Jesus Christ. Did not feel like that. Let's go Hero. I'm gonna here. I'm gonna talk. I'm not actually gonna put him here. I might put him here. I gotta think about this a little bit. Nah, he's going in S tier. What am I talking about? They're all going in S tier. Fuck, I don't care. Hero is broken, fundamentally. He is a broken person. And when I think of Hero, I just imagine being so in love with somebody, and clearly they were. I'm not sure if they're officially dating, but I mean, come on. We all saw the pictures. Uh, they loved each other very much. And people that, I mean, he was 16 at the time, I believe. People go through, I mean, I went through breakups at that age where I thought, I loved the person. And who knows if the love really transcended some like more of like a juvenile, like teenager love. But losing somebody like that at that age, I don't know if he'll ever be able to actually move on from that. I mean, I think about his character, and I think about him maybe with like somebody else, and I just, if I put myself in his mind, like in his headspace from his perspective, I always see that lingering image of Mari there. I always see it, and that's just terrible. I mean, that is tragic. And I obviously I do hope. I mean, he is a character in a video game, so his story does end at the end of the game. But in my headcanon version, I do hope he finds happiness, but with somebody else. But I just don't know if he'll be able to. And he is probably the most similar to Sunny in that he feels this sad emotion more so than Sunny does. Sunny is like the neutral, like Omori is the neutral character, but Hero is sad. Actually, going back to the if you can find another relationship, there was a little animation. I forgot who made it. I'll probably link it in the description because it's amazing, and it shows Hero trying to go on dates with other women, and he just can't stop seeing Mari. And that's what I think about now when I think about it. Also, like a few days ago, I can't stop thinking about it. But yeah, he's the sad emotion, but at the same time, you can kind of infer he had his own headspace, his own version of it, and he's going on adventures with to him who was the happiest person in the world. Like not his entire world, obviously, but the person you can assume from the most joy. And having that juxtaposition of such happiness and warmth and comfort radiating off of Mari, the girl he loved, and then having that juxtaposed with believing that she took her own life, and like I'm trying to word this how I want it to come out. You would have to imagine if you're a hero, you would believe that everything that Mari was kind of a facade. That she would choose, despite all the happiness she brought to people, to presume, from what he thinks, take her own life. And I would imagine that would disrupt his image of her so much that he really doesn't know who she was or is, And that's just sad. That just is very, very sad. But despite everything, despite all of that, he helps others. I mean, as Cal points out, he's a little more closed off than he used to be, but when he comes to the group on day 2, he basically fixes the entire fucking situation in like a day. And yeah, I just love his name, Hero. I think his real name is Henry. But the term hero is, I don't know if it's called I don't know if it's ironic or whatever, but it, I'm gonna say ironic. It's so ironic because he's so clearly not a hero. Like, he is a person, but he's like built up to be this hero that does like can do anything or fix anything, or at least that's how Sunny sees him. But he's a person. And it shows that the people who seem the most capable of everything, or that seem like they can get along with everybody, or do anything, or, you know, be the happiest person ever, those people can be broken inside. Those can be the people that are the most broken. And maybe it's a facade. Or maybe it's not even a facade. Maybe it's just you can naturally want to help people and be good at it, but at the same time, there's some tragedy in your life you can't move on from. And it's clear that Hero has not moved on from this at all. He hasn't visited her grave. When they talk about her and go to the stump, he needs to leave. He's crying, or tearing up at least, and he needs to leave. And the story is mainly about Sunny and then Basil learning to forgive themselves and really moving past his death. But at the same time, you can kind of see the end of the game being the real start of Hero's journey. The hero's journey, if you will. You know? Like, that's where he starts to, presumably, that's where he starts to move on. Now, of course, Sunny telling the truth might throw a wrench into those plans, but, you know, you can't... The game leaves off at that point because, you know, because you're not supposed to know what happens. It's up for interpretation. So, I gotta put him in S tier. I can't put him not in S tier. Oh boy. OMORI. No, in my previous video, and if you're watching this video, I am kind of assuming you've seen my other video. Not all people will have, but if you haven't, go watch it, of course. Little self-promo there. But I talked about Sunny / OMORI for about 20, maybe 30 minutes in that video. And what OMORI represents, that kind of dissociative amnesia, as Daryl Talks Games speaks on, and this kind of very personification of the trauma that Sunny experiences. It's all very interesting. And I do love how he literally is the way Sunny interacts with Headspace is through OMORI, through playing him like a game. That's what I imagine, at least. And it kind of makes you seem like you're literally Sunny. Like, yeah, Sunny is technically a self-insert character, but, like, you're literally Sunny because you're also playing as OMORI in the game as a self-insert. You know? So it's just all just so interesting. And towards the end of the game, he becomes this embodiment of self-hatred. I gotta crack my neck. He becomes this embodiment of that, and he hurls all Sunny's fears back at him. I'm not gonna say he's like an evil entity, because at the end of the day, he is just another part of Sunny, but it's the part that Sunny keeps. I want to say it's the part that Sunny keeps repressed, because it's kind of like black space. OMORI's the ruler over black space, I would say, and he's the part of Sunny that represses all of that. And the whole idea is it's just very abstract, and I could literally go on for like an hour about him, but this video is already like an hour and a half long. If you do want to hear more of my thoughts on OMORI and Sunny, I want to talk about Sunny a little bit more than I talk about OMORI. But if you want to hear my thoughts on that, go watch their video if you haven't already. Obviously, I'll link it in the description and put it at the end card. But there's just so much to say about the two that I don't want this to be like a 3-hour video. So I'm gonna put him in S tier though, because he's super fucking interesting. I'm probably gonna rank these two, but we'll get to that in a second. So yeah, Sunny. I mean, is he my? Monica from Doki Doki Literature Club is my favorite video game character of all time. Sunny might be my second. And he's just so interesting. I mean, like I said earlier, the entire game is Sunny, like Headspace, and you're playing through Sunny's perspective in Faraway Town, which is made clear through dungeons like these guys, or the poster who's like somewhere down here. You know, it's not like objective reality, it's Sunny's reality, which even in the real world is still a bit warped. So literally everything that takes place in the game, for the most part, is characterization for Sunny. Mostly including Headspace. You look at a character, I mean, we've kind of been, even in a way, we've been talking about Sunny this whole time. You know? I mean, like, you look at, like, oh, that's not Sweetheart. Look at Sweetheart, this is Sunny. Humphrey, this is a part of Sunny. Literally, this thing that I don't even know, I gotta put that in C tier. Character design's cool, but I don't even know what it is. Sunny. This is Sunny. 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 This is all Sunny. So we've been talking about for the entire video. I can name this the Sunny analysis and it would make sense. Once again, go watch my other video if you want a little more specifics on his character. But, I mean, he's the protagonist. And in a really good story, the protagonist is almost always my favorite character. And he's just... These two are just... They're just some of the best characters in video games. Period. So, I'm going to arrange this once again, but let's go to Mari. I mean, where'd you think I was going to put her? I already talked about her a lot with this version of Mari, but I do think they're fairly similar, I would say. I don't think Sunny's perspective on his sister is so warped to the point where, like, these two are, like, so vastly different, you know? And it's just... It is kind of hard, though, because we've never really seen Mari in, like, the present time. But just seeing the memories and the pictures with her holding Sunny, or her and Hero together, her and Aubrey dyeing their hair, or wanting to, and just all that, you can't help but kind of, like, fall in love with her as a character. You can't help it. Or really, and you understand why everyone is so fucking broken about her apparent suicide. The game makes sure you understand how great of a person she was. And she wasn't perfect. I mean, one of her flaws was she always wanted to be perfect. Which I actually think spawns from these two. Where are they? This fucker and this, you know what, fuck you. I think they were abusive emotionally, not physically, emotionally, previous to Mari's death, and that's what spawns her perfectionism, and the fact that Sunny, the fact that he wanted to be more perfect, or really got super frustrated with his violin playing, and which led to her death. Which that's like a whole topic, which is another video, and it is a really sensitive topic, and I don't. It takes a lot of time to really properly justify an opinion like that, I think, which I'm trying to wrap this up pretty soon. So, like I said, go watch my video on that. But aside from all that, she's never idealized. Except from this version. But this version, I don't think she's idealized. Her flaws are there. I think they're pretty clear to most players who've played the game and kind of researched a little more into it. But, at the end of the day, she's just maybe the nicest person you'll ever meet. And it's clear to me why someone like Hero loved her, presumably, so much. So, that's everyone is in their place. But are they in their rightful place? Let's go to... I'm going to look at this. So, yeah, these guys they're fine. Does anyone want to move up? I don't think you really... I'll put him at the top. Just because. I just don't like what he represents as a character. Alright, we have C tier. I didn't have to be moved up. I'm going to move up Abby. Just because she's so fascinating. And I'm going to move... Shit. I move them down. I'm pretty sure she's the one who makes Perfect Heart. And I like her area the most. I might be wrong about that, but I'll move them down to C tier. But keep her there. Pluto can stay. Yeah, it's not really B tier worthy. Same with her or him. I do love that. I love this cat, and I do love recycling. So we'll keep them there. Love it. Put Wormhole down there. I'll make sure Kel's up there. Perfect Heart, the Earth. I mean, I love this area, but like, the cat Butler himself doesn't really do too much. This looks good. I might move some down. Humphrey should be there. McKellen. Well, I was talking about all the self-image stuff, so I will keep him up there. You're good. You're good. You're good. The tofu question. Come on. Bottom of A tier. I'm not gonna rank these two are the top of B tier. I'm not gonna rank all the rest of them. I'll rank these. This looks good. Life Champ guy's gotta be there. Move Humphrey up. I actually move him up a little. Oh, no, Humphrey, you can go there. Alright, this is the big one. Who are my favorite characters in the game? Sunny's got to go up there. Should I just keep them? I mean, yeah, I'm going to keep them together because they're basically the same. Like, they go hand in hand. So I'll keep them there. Yes, definitely Aubry. Is Aubry my favorite? Is she? I don't know. Because if she was my favorite over Sunny, it would be because of character design. But I don't really want to make that the reason, so I'll keep her there. I'm going to move... Okay. You can go here. You can... I want to put more... I kind of want to put her ahead, but you really don't see much of her. The whole sweetheart thing is just really fascinating me. I'm going to put her here. Basil, I'm sorry, buddy. You're supposed to be an A tier, though, so you should be happy you're up here. Alright. I'll put Hector as the last of the S tiers, because he like I said, he has a mustache. You can't beat that. Yeah, I think this looks good. Actually, he doesn't really. I'll kind of put Cal over him. You can go here. The tofu question's not that interesting. You're really okay, yeah, this looks good. Yeah. This looks perfect. I mean, not perfect, but this looks really good. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I was able to really... I mean, there's a lot of characters to analyze. I probably should have just stuck some in here and not really said much about them, but I did find a lot of things like the hands or Humphrey or Sweetheart or fucking McCalla or this too or something. I found a lot of things that I didn't really realize before I even pressed record in this video. A lot of, I think, interesting things and interesting perspectives on these characters that I might not have thought about too much before. So I am really glad I made this video. Like I said, I've always wanted to do one of these tier lists. And I do want to incorporate some more unscripted things into my main channel. The secondary channel, which will be linked in the description, will be a lot more unscripted stuff. Possibly almost all unscripted. I'm not quite sure about that yet. But it'll be just more kind of thoughts that, in the moment kind of thoughts and more stuff like that. But, you know, for something like this, yeah, I'm glad I did it unscripted. And yeah, I'm glad I made it. So if you enjoyed the video, please, of course, leave it a like. And I think it'd be interesting to hear some of the comments on, of course, what everyone thought about my list here. But some things you might change, or, you know, some characters I kind of brushed over that you think are super interesting. You know, kind of bring that to light. Like someone like Humphrey, I probably would have him like B tier. Oh fuck, I messed up my order. Yeah, he was an A tier. I probably would have had him B tier if it wasn't for someone commenting about, you know, this whole other aspect of him I hadn't even thought about. So yeah, just like, you know, comments some stuff about my list and characters you thought should have been higher or lower. And yeah, for future videos, I have another OMORI analysis video coming up. And we'll be looking at the end of OMORI, because it's maybe my favorite ending of anything of all time. I am very excited to talk about it, which of course I did in my other video. I'm making way too many OMORI videos. So much to say about the game, though. But I did touch on the ending in my other video, but I think I use a lot more to say about it. So that's going to be probably the next video on this channel. And I hope you all look forward to it. So if you liked the video, of course, subscribe if you are not already. And as always, thank you for watching.